Gal, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gal. I'm the VP of Operations at RMO Agency. We are a California corporation. And I'm not sure if our solution is relevant to all of you because I do understand that you have businesses selling all throughout the states. Our solution is currently for California only. I do know, though, that the RMO solution is possible in Arizona, Nevada, and I'm hearing that Florida and Texas have RMOs as well. However, our business currently performs in California only. So RMO stands for Responsible Managing Officer. And that's basically an individual that allows a new company to get licensed in California. So in California, to be a licensed contractor, you have to pass an exam and show 4 years of experience. And the RMO solution is a legal alternative solution to passing the test yourself. So I'm not sure if when you purchase a business, the qualifier of the license will remain on the license or if that solution is needed. Daniel, is that the reason that you've asked me to come on, because an RMO would potentially be needed?
Correct. So many of us do not have a license on the trade or activity that the business specializes, right? The business we intend to purchase. So the RMO, it's an option, for us. And obviously there are some hurdles as lenders and the SBA, keep pushing for the license to be in place by the new ownership, right? Or RMO at the moment of a loan approval, as the seller is supposed to phase out and eventually the license will not be renewed by the seller. So another license, or at least a very solid plan, needs to be in place for loan approval. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah, so doing an RMO is for corporations and LLCs only. So I'm assuming that's what your sellers are selling. They're not selling sole owner licenses. Is that correct?
Well, sellers are selling their business, and it could be a stock sale or an asset sale. So it's pretty much up to the type of legal entity that the buyer puts in place.
Okay.
Right. So the buyer may decide to, if it's a stock purchase, well, it will have to remain with an LLC or C or a corporation INC that is currently operating a business, but the buyer can decide or make an asset purchase, and that way they will create a new legal entity, right?
Okay.
And then the legal entity usually qualifies. Well, there is a qualifying party.
Correct.
That
so every legal entity needs a qualifier. If the seller is not interested in continuing to be the qualifier, then we do provide RMOs. That is our service. We have a pool of RMOs available all throughout the state of California who are ready to go and interested in becoming RMO's qualifying party and a mentor to a new contractor. We've been in business for 15 years, since 2006. And we basically, the good thing about working with a license under a corporation is that when you switch the officers, the license remains the same. So if they are selling you an entity that has a license attached to it, then we can file a replacement of a qualifier of an RMO, and then the license remains the same and the buyer is able to continue working under that same entity. That is a California, it's under the Business and Professions Code, essentially under California 7065. And you do have the ability to take the exam yourself if you want to become your own qualifier, but hiring an RMO would ensure that the license remains in good standing and that you do not have to prove the experience. Basically, having an RMO waives the license exam for a new contractor. And we have plenty of contractors from out of state who have business here in California and are looking to get licensed in California. Now, the good thing about our program is you have an RMO for 5 years. And then after 5 years, you can become your own company's RMO by showing that you've been active and in good standing for the past 5 years. So our program, essentially, if you start from start to, we call it a graduation, is a 5-year program until you can qualify the own license, and then you don't need an RMO anymore.
So the RMO is a qualifying party to keep the current license operating,
Yes.
or the RMO or the business uses the license of the RMO.
The license is a new license that is getting issued. You are not using the qualifier's personal license. Each RMO is allowed to qualify up to 3 corporations through the state of California. Okay. And if a qualifier does quit, we do have the ability to replace a qualifier and still keep the license in good standing. So that's the benefit of working with an agency, that you're not tied down to a specific RMO. You can switch them around and it doesn't change the license. Okay.
What is a typical engagement with a contractor or a business owner like me? What would be kind of the responsibilities of the RMO and what will be the compensation? Can you describe that?
Sure. So an RMO in California is responsible for all projects that are being done. They're responsible for supervision. The difference between an RMO and an RME is that an RME is an employee, and what we do is RMOs, and the laws there are not as specific in terms of hours. An employee has to work 32 hours a week. An officer doesn't have those parameters in the state of California. So we set up what we call a supervision plan, and it sets the guidelines to how involved the RMO needs to be. We require a monthly visit. The RMO needs to walk through all the projects. If there is an issue with a project, the RMO would be the one who's contacted, not the president of the company. So unfortunately, the contractors board in California sees the RMO as overseeing and responsible for everything. So we basically maintain those relationships for 5 years between the purchaser on your end and the RMO. And the RMO needs to stay involved in terms of going through. They don't need to do hands-on. I mean, your employees, your subcontractors can do everything in terms of the project, but the RMO does need to oversee all the business.
So now, what happens? I know you were going to talk about compensation, but before that, I just wanted to understand, when these projects are not large, but are more like services and installations, and then you have, let's say, 6 technicians with 1 installation per day. So services that are simple or quick are not projects in terms of weeks. How would that be supervised?
So there's no need to, they don't have to have supervision in every single project that's being taken. The supervision is more for the larger projects that take months, the building, the restoration. If they're doing, HVAC work or installation work or things that are very quick, then maybe a weekly summary to an RMO would be sufficient. We provide our clients with an online portal that allows them to track all projects, and we actually have a list of documents that would need to be uploaded for every project. So a contract, any change order, photos, permits if those are required. And we also have a short-term piece to the portal as well, so they can just do the client name and address, just throughout the week. And it's pretty much up to the contractor and the RMO to really stay in touch. Nobody will ask questions unless there's a problem. And if there is a problem, that's when they start questioning the RMO supervision and how involved the RMO is. And
so probably the RMO will be perhaps testing for each technician 1 out of X number of installations or services, just as a sample. Just to make sure they are doing their work properly, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And in terms of compensation, our fees, what we have is a finder's fee agreement, essentially for finding the RMO, assigning the RMO, and essentially supporting this relationship for the 5-year duration. So our fees, we have $4,000 down. That includes the processing of a new license, and then $1,000 each month. That does not include any additional payment to the RMO for supervision itself. So if the RMO is needed for actual testing, like you said, of technicians or training or any additional support that's beyond one basic monthly review, then that is something that could be agreed with the RMO directly. And of course, we can continue to support that conversation. As I said before, RMOs can be changed. So you're not tied to an RMO, a specific RMO for 5 years, but we do try to maintain the relationships to the point that you like each other so much that you don't need a replacement, you don't want a replacement. And I believe there was a question about whether you can keep the RMO after 5 years. Is that the question? In case the owner doesn't want to take the exam. Oh, okay. So after 5 years, you actually don't need to take the exam. So if you go through our program for a full 5-year duration, then you can apply to become your own RMO without taking the exam. If you do want to take the exam, all you need to do is prove that 4 years of experience. So you do have an exit point at the 4-year mark if you want to take the exam, or you can wait 1 year longer under the RMO and then you can apply to qualify yourself. And you can stay with the RMO as long as you want. You can even continue to maintain that relationship after this person is no longer the RMO. If you want to hire them to do extra work and support, you're more than welcome to do that. Our RMOs are usually retired contractors or semi-retired contractors. They're very knowledgeable and they're very interested in helping new construction businesses.
Does the 5-year rule of not needing the exam, does that apply also to a general contractor's license?
Yes, every license, every classification would fall under the same 5-year waiver of a license exam. Yes. Let's see if there's anything else that I didn't cover. So
you currently cover Texas, Arizona.
So we do work in California only. We have tried to expand to Arizona and Nevada, but their laws are a little bit different that we weren't ready to take those on. But I do know that RMOs, they do have RMOs for Arizona and Nevada. There's a reciprocity between Nevada, Arizona, and California in terms of licenses. So if we do find an RMO for you in California, they may be able to apply to qualify in Arizona or Nevada. It's a case-by-case basis. And I was told that there's a similar program in Florida. I'm not sure of a company, but I know that Florida allows for qualifiers for RMOs similarly to California. So yeah, that's where we currently stand. And as I said, we have RMOs or qualifiers all throughout the state. So you just need to let us know where most of the work is going to be performed, whether it's going to be in Southern California or Northern California. And then we would try to find an RMO that would be close to that area, so then they can come and perform the supervision.
Do you currently have or have had any customers that are purchasing businesses like us through an SBA loan?
I'm not sure if it's through an SBA loan, but we do have, I believe, 3 or 4 franchise companies. They're called Handyman Connection. And Handyman Connection, I believe there's 3 or 4 of their locations that are currently working with us with an RMO. So they applied for a new license and they're going through the 5-year program, just like any other contractor client we have.
Okay, that's your answer.
Yeah, I got some other questions. Let me see. You've emailed me some questions. So how to determine fair compensation for an RMO license? We have a set fee. So going through us would have this set monthly fee to us. And then it would really depend what you offer the RMO based on how much you're expecting the RMO to perform, if it's just general consulting or more hands-on. So we can help you with that, but I don't know how to answer specifically about fair compensation. You can also offer the RMO a percentage of whatever projects are being done. So that would be up to you, but it would depend on the work that the RMO is performing. Are the RMO rules the same in all states? The answer is no. Some states don't require licenses. Some states have county licenses or city licenses, but not all states have a contractor board like California does. Somebody asked about buying real estate in business combined, like a car wash or a laundromat. So real estate, laundromat, I'm not sure. If you're looking to find out what specific classifications are needed for construction business, you can visit the Contractor State License Board website in California. So it's cslb.ca.gov. They have a list of all the classifications and all their descriptions, and you can find out specifically what license would be needed for the company that you're looking to purchase. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, and also in response to that, there's a recent article we posted, guys. I think it was prepared by Tyler, where we differentiate the permit and license. So read it, and then you'll understand that some businesses need more a permit than a license.
Exactly.
Which is, like you said, like a laundromat or that kind of thing.
Exactly. I don't think a laundromat requires a contractor's license here in California, and real estate is a different kind of a license you need to study for. So we work with contractor businesses and all their and the majority of the popular classifications we get asked about, like plumbing or electrical, roofing, HVAC, painting, those are the ones, and of course a general engineering and a general contractor license. So those are the majority. Landscaping as well would be a popular one. Let's see what else. Physical therapy, that also doesn't fall under an RMO. I'm not sure what they do. The SBA loans, again, I'm not sure what loans, how to work with the loans, but we could definitely provide the solution for a license if that's what the SBA is asking for as a part of the purchase. So you can be remote. Somebody asked if this can be remote. You do not have to be in California, but you need a California contractor's license and have projects here in California. So we do have out-of-state contractors who are performing. We even have one Italian company that got a project to perform freeway work, and they're doing they have a general engineering RMO through us, and he's hands-on going to the freeway and making sure that everything is done properly. And there was another company that had a Tesla project, but as long as you have work here in California, then we can help you with the RMO. And I think those were the questions. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Thanks again for doing this. Me and Paul, who's on this call, we're based in Southern California, and this has been something we've been very curious about. About us specifically is we're not intending to actually be contractors ourselves, and we're because we're open to whether it be a plumbing or HVAC or roofing or whatever. And regarding the question of SBA, a similar way of thinking about that is, do you work with, at a larger scale, private equity firms or financial buyers that are not ever looking to, it's not sort of someone who's looking to build their own business, but rather acquire multiple companies under the same, whether it be multiple plumbing companies, multiple roofing, et cetera. And needing to meet those license requirements, but the individuals, the principals are not, not contractors, nor have an intention to become that. Does the service fit within that model? Yes. Have you done that? Okay, cool.
So the Home Depot has a contractor's license. Lowe's has a contractor's license. Every company, every entity that's going to be taking on projects that are over $500 here in California needs to have a contractor's license. So to them, it doesn't matter if you're going to be hands-on doing the work or if you're going to be getting subcontractors to do the work. So if your entity gets projects and subcontracts them to other licensed contractors, that would definitely fall under an RMO model. Because you won't be able to get those projects unless you have a contractor's license. If you're the prime contractor, if you have multiple companies under you, you're still the prime contractor.
Got it.
We
Thank
can
you.
figure out, I mean, I can get more detail if you'd like to connect specifically about that. But as I said, we have franchisees that are under an RMO. I'd be interested to find out more specifically about the specific needs that you have. But yeah, you would need a contractor's license if you have multiple, unless they're each going to be bidding separately for the work and they have their own license, then they can work under that. But if you want to oversee them as one entity, then you'd need to have your contractor's license, you'd be the officer, and then you'd have an RMO on your license.
Got it. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay.
So I have a question. So I would, and my apologies if I am not using the right terminology, but my understanding is the license is tied to a legal entity and then you have a qualifier, which is a person.
Yes.
And so earlier, I believe you were talking about the legal entity being sold. So basically that would be a stock sale and you need to have a new qualifier. Would you be able to kind of waive the license requirements for an asset sale? If, in case you're not familiar, an asset sale means the old legal entity of the seller just gets shut off and the buyer creates a new legal entity. And so there would be some requirements to have the license of the new legal entity.
Okay, so a contractor's license is assigned to an entity. So for an RMO replacement on an existing license, that's a clean-cut process for us. It's a simple RMO replacement and the license would stay the same, the corporation would stay the same. You're saying that now they would form a new corporation or a new entity and you want that license to be attached to that. It would just be a new contractor's license essentially, and with a new qualifier, but then the buyer would have the ability to use the name, right, the brand name and sell all those products. So the new license wouldn't be tied to the previous license of the seller, but an RMO, yeah, an RMO, and it's a new corporate, because they're tying it to a corporate name and a corporate number. So it's just basically a new license number with an RMO, from what I understand, unless I don't know something about the.
No, you're right. And actually the RMO has to be the qualifying party. So
Yes.
the license is issued to the business under a qualifying party. And that qualifying party is got to be an officer. In this
Correct.
case, the RMO.
Correct.
So the RMO has got to help the new legal entity that Dario described to get their own license number, new and different from the sellers.
Correct.
Yeah.
Unless the seller is also selling the license number, and then it would be a replacement of.
Correct. Correct. Actually, yes, correct. Actually, the rule that I have heard the lenders are applying is that the buyer can keep the use of the seller license for a period of time as long as they have a solid plan they can show for the SBA to be convinced that a new license will be in place later on. So some lenders are more strict and they want to see the license in place before they approve a loan. Mm-hmm. Some other lenders are less strict, but it's a decision of the lender. At the end, they say we can submit to the SBA if there's a strong plan in place, to get a license that is different, from the sellers. Mm-hmm. Then, the loan will be approved. The SBA approves, that's fine. In the case of a stock purchase, the situation is the same because as the license has to be renewed, the seller is no longer there. Then you need another officer, the RMO, to renew the license.
Correct.
Exactly the same story. You still need to have a plan, even if it's the same legal entity, not a new legal entity. Make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. Gal, is that okay if I post here your email address in case you know they want to contact you?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Of course.
excellent. So, Gal, we're waiting for you to come and text us.
Is everyone in Texas or
No.
are you? No.
No, we're all over the place, all over the map.
Wow. We were actually supposed to take a cruise this month from Texas, but we're not going. So whenever that cruise does happen, we'll be traveling to Texas.
Yeah, I wish there would be an RMO agency or a branch of yours here in Texas. Some good business development opportunity for you.
Yeah, we may look into that. We're always looking to expand, but yeah, you need to be prepared with the RMOs and a good business plan. So,
Yep. Very good.
thank you.
Well, guys, any other questions or comments for Gal? So this is what we do, Gal. We support our acquisition entrepreneurs to purchase a business. Okay, we provide them with the knowledge, you know, and the experience of other acquisition entrepreneurs, training and facilitate. There's light here. To facilitate their acquisition. So we're private equity. We invest in some of these companies. And we are also a business accelerator, so we help them, you know, purchase businesses, and we also, you know, make our own investments. Okay, so everyone here is in our search program or acceleration program. Mm-hmm.
And Daniel, I think I can actually stay for a few minutes if you'd like to speak after this instead of.
Yeah.
So I'll stay on.
Thank you. Let's do that after we finish the call.
Perfect.
We still have 10 more minutes to, you know, before the top of the hour, guys. If you have other questions or comments of these, you know, regarding licensing or any other topics, now it's a good time. So tell us how you guys like, you know, these calls, the topics we're presenting. Just give us your feedback and tell us if there are any other topics you want to, you know, hear about. We'll be happy to continue expanding our reach and, you know, to different speakers and service providers and help you out. Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, we'll see you next week, guys. I'm going to stop recording and wish you, you know, a nice rest of the week. Hopefully see you again next Wednesday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.